I'm pleased to introduce Vicki Chatterton.
Welcome, Toastmasters and guests. Who here has heard of the Pathways Education Program? Okay, the majority of you. How many of you are still guests and have not joined? Okay. If you have not joined, if you join before March 20th, you have a special role in that you can choose which education program you take, the traditional or Pathways. After March 20th, once you sign up, that's it. You're on the new Pathways. I'm here tonight to tell you as a group what Pathways has to offer. This is my first time. I'm ambassador for Pathways. I've been ambassador since, I believe, 2010. They first called it the Revitalizing Education Program. They have since changed it to Pathways. However, I am also going to be the guide for this club. And the guide is one who will answer questions. Fortunately, if I don't have the answers, I can go to our chief ambassador, who is Ed Keeney. And if any of you have met Ed Keeney, he has, I believe, 12, 13, maybe 14 distinguished Toastmasters now. They just keep rolling up. I can't determine how many he has at the moment. He knows this program well. And we have a chief ambassador who is really behind Pathways and is really gearing up to help us with that. Doreen has some handouts for everyone. If there's not enough, if you could share, that would be great. These handouts are pictures of the PowerPoint. Unfortunately, we don't have access to equipment to do PowerPoints down here, and that gives you a chance also to write notes on those. So as she's passing it out, just a little bit more about Pathways. They've been rolling it out 2 regions at a time and started, I believe, about 9 months ago. They're hoping to complete it by June of this year, I believe. After June of this year, those of you that are on the traditional education program have 2 years to complete that program if you want. At any time, you're welcome to switch over to Pathways if that's a program that you would prefer to do. If you have any specific questions, you can ask me. Lloyd is our VP of Education, so he will know the program as well. Also, other club officers that will be getting important roles in the Navigator will be our secretary and president. So incoming presidents and secretaries and VPs will also learn the program just how to navigate it. All right, so has everyone gotten their packet? We'll start on page 1, which is always a good place to start. Now, as you notice, there's a box here, and that's because they embedded a wonderful video that has Toastmasters talking about Pathways. There is the URL address. I recommend that everybody either go in tonight if you're really excited and want to learn about it, or Lloyd has said he's going to be very nice, and in the email that he sends out tomorrow, also put in the email and you'll just be able to click on that link. It has some great perspective of the Pathways, and I do suggest that you read it. Who knows who this gentleman is at the bottom of page 1?
Ralph Smedley.
Ralph Smedley, that's right. He is our founder of Toastmasters. He is the one that created this program. And there's a wonderful quote from him that I'll let you read at a later time, because I'm not sure, like I said, how long this presentation takes, because this is the first time presenting it. So we're going to go to page 2. And page 2 at the top, you'll see 2 booklets that probably look very familiar to you. The Competent Communicator and Competent Leader. However, that wasn't the beginning education program. The first one was called the Basic Training Manual, and that's pictured on the left there. So they've already gone through change in Toastmasters as far as education programs. It's not the first time. This time, though, there's a lot more people, and they're adding technology. which is great. We have to embrace that. The next one is a quote from Ralph Smedley that says, "We learn in moments of enjoyment." We grow and learn when we enjoy what we're doing. If we're not enjoying it, chances are it's not going to stick. Or you'll just have bad memories about it and not want to do it. Yeah? But if we're enjoying what we're doing, then it sticks. The next one says Toastmasters Learning Revitalization. And this is kind of the core as to what they were doing when they decided that they wanted to change things up in the program. They wanted to add value. Now, when they were creating Pathways program, they asked Toastmasters for input. What do you need in Toastmasters to make it of a value program to you? They were taking input, and they're always taking input. They do have what they call a master Q&A log for this program. And the Pathways guides are collecting questions. And these questions are going into the log and getting answered. We have webinars where they're getting answered. As of the last time I looked at the log, it was 121 pages. Therefore, I didn't print it out for you. But if you have a question, well, email it to me or write it to me. First, I'll check the log before I rewrite the question. But if it hasn't been answered, I will add it into the question log and it will get answered. That's what I love about Toastmasters, is they are continuously learning. They also wanted to make the program fun. Now, contests are fun, leadership is fun, but they've also incorporated education programs that I think all of you will have fun with. So they've incorporated that. Customized to your needs. One of the things that they've really embraced is technology. A lot of us use technology in our jobs. We'll be able to take Toastmasters and what we're doing in our job and combine the two, get credit for it, learn, be able to go to our supervisor if we have supervisors and say, I'm in Toastmasters, I've been doing this at work, but I've also incorporated this, and you'll be getting all sorts of recognition through Toastmasters, and it'll just be wonderful communication between the two. As always, Toastmasters is flexible. It's at your own pace. Some people race through their confident communicator, get it done right away. Others take their time and just go at their own pace. And that's the nice thing about Toastmasters, is you can go at your own pace, and they have not changed that at all in Pathways. You can choose how fast or how slow if you want to really embrace the material.
And sometimes you need a kick.
Sometimes you do, and that's why we have regular weekly meetings as to say, when are you going to give that speech, Bobby? Yeah, and you will complete that manual, right?
I shouldn't have. You shouldn't have messed up.
You will complete it. We will,
Yes.
As a group, we will support you. Competency-based. It is full of different volumes of material, and as you continue through these levels, your competency will grow. Resource rich. Now, I love Toastmasters because they give you so much information. As you can see up here, there are lots of handouts, lots of things that I get to give you or share with you. Like I emailed one of our guides. There's a plethora of information from Toastmasters, and on the new Pathways, not only is it printed material, but there are tons and tons of videos and tutorials that you can watch. And I love that. I'd much rather watch somebody and see what they're doing rather than read it. I'm just not one that can read and focus. I'm one that really wants to watch and get involved. So I'm excited about that. And they also want meaningful and effective evaluations. I will go through the evaluations a little bit later in this presentation. Next, on page 3, you choose the experience. When you get on to Pathways, we will show you how to navigate the site. or the printed material if you choose to do that. And I'll tell you about that more as your options. But it's tailored to what you want to do, which is very nice. I know when people first sign up and they get the competent communicator, and I was one of those, what do I give a speech on? Because it didn't really direct you as to what to talk about. It just said, this is what we're going to work on. Let's practice. But it didn't tell me. And I asked Toastmasters, what do I talk about? Something that you're familiar with, or you're comfortable with. Sometimes I stretch myself, talk about something that you need to research. But that's something that you get to do. So you get to choose your experience. There is another embedded video that's going to be introducing pathways. I suggest you watch it either through the link or, like I said, if you're really excited tonight and want to click on there, go right ahead. So now, on the bottom of page 3, you see down here how it has levels and then paths. There are 10 different paths that you can take. And I'm not going to read them all, but they range anything from speaking, leadership, communication, strategic relationships, just all sorts of different things that you will engage in through everyday life. Or something that is really passionate of you. They have coaching and mentoring things that you can really embrace. In these 10 paths, you will complete different levels. And the different levels are the 5 levels of public speaking, inner communication, strategic leadership, management, and confidence. Now, as you see on the 10 paths, and I'm sorry it's so small, but there's different boxes, and those are the ones that kind of concentrate in those areas. I know, this is a lot of information to take in. Next, on page 4, it's a little bit more descriptive of those levels. Level 1 always has the icebreaker. Now that's something that was in our competent communicator. But each time you do a path, you will be doing an icebreaker. And the first 3 things in level 1 is just to build that competency in that path. And it's just a wonderful thing that they are just building on this. And when you get more comfortable, it works better. I apologize, it's really small writing. There are 59 projects. That's a lot when you think about it. When you do the Distinguished Toastmaster, I believe by the time you're done, there is 60 some odd speeches that you did, and then different leadership goals that you do. This is just 59 different projects within these paths. So there is much, much more. I think there's like 300 plus different avenues that you can take and that will match you. So Mary's path will be different than Bobby's path. And Brandon's path will be different than Eric's path. It's just what works best for them and what competencies they want. Now at the bottom, you see these badges and awards. You're going, what are those? Badges and awards? It's kind of a fun thing. They've realized that people like acknowledgement for what they're doing. Who doesn't like a kudos every once in a while when you're doing a great job? And when you get that kudos, don't you want to do it a little bit more? Aren't you ready to give that speech in 2 weeks rather than a month out because you got all of that wonderful feedback? It's just one of those great things that you do. You get to print out your certificates. We haven't decided as a club whether the club will print them out and award them during the meetings. That might be something we start to do. In the past, they've been mailed to the person, which is nice, but I think it would be also nice as a club to recognize those awards. And then another cool thing that I found out as I was tinkering with this is as members, you can award badges to other members. So if I see something that Caitlin did and I want to acknowledge her, I can send a badge. And then she'll get recognition when she logs into Pathways that somebody had sent her a badge. So that's a great way to support our members. All right. Now, page 5 is the evaluations. And I said I was going to talk more about evaluations. A lot of us, when we do our speech, come with our book and we hand it down to whoever our evaluator is, and our evaluator has a chance to go over it. Now, some evaluators are really prepared. I've had some people email me as soon as they find out they're evaluating and say, I'm evaluating your speech. Could you tell me what it is so I can look it up? The nice thing is with these evaluations is there can be two ways. The evaluator can either do a written one or they can go and log in and do a computer-based evaluation. Also, on page 6, if you notice this box up here, and the writing is really tiny small, so you don't need to worry about it. I'll tell you kind of the gist of what's in there. Is it gives you criteria for that evaluation question. Because it's on a scale from 1 to 5. And so it says, a 5, they knew exactly what they were talking and researched about. A 1 is, they kind of knew what they're talking about, but not. So this gives you a criteria of what you're really looking for. This is like speech or speech contests where we have that criteria given to us as judges. Well, now this criteria is given to every evaluator. Because in Toastmasters, as we know, the evaluations are as crucial as the speeches, the feedback. This will give us more valuable feedback. Not only as the receiver of it, but also somebody who is evaluating. It gives us so much more to go on. Now, let's see, I put page 13, so I think there's something else that I wanted to say about it. Maybe I already talked about it, but we'll just make sure that I get every part. So, okay, it was that you can either download it, write it, or go on and do that. So I thought that's kind of nice. Yes?
So if someone was to go online and do the evaluation, but we're still going to present the evaluation here, right?
Right, you'll still take notes and do that.
And do that.
The online evaluation can be much more detailed because you have more time to work on it.
All right. Fine. So you would take your notes home if you wanted to go in and have time to think about it, be able to say more. As you know, we're only given 2 to 3 minutes of evaluations here, and sometimes you just don't have enough time to say everything that you wanted to say. All right, Pathways Mentor Program. I am excited about this. For those of you that really want to dive in and learn Pathways and get so excited about it, then you have the opportunity to share that knowledge as a mentor. Because as new members come in, like I said, after March 20th, if a new member comes in, they have to do Pathways. And so as current members, those who really embrace the Pathways and are enjoying it, you might consider becoming a mentor. Because how many of you remember starting Toastmasters and not knowing what that CL was? It came with your packet, you look at it and went, I don't know what to do with this. Some clubs have great programs that explain it. Other clubs, it's a little bit more difficult to get to the understanding of the whole encompassing program. That's why we need mentors. All right. We gave you some homework last week in the email to go and log in to your Toastmasters International account. Who did that? All right. This is crucial because this is where you're going to find Pathways. Who has ever logged in to Toastmasters International? Okay, that's better. We're getting a little bit more. So we know that probably those of you that raised your hand will be able to get in again. If you forgot your password, you can hit that forgot your password. But it is crucial that Yes,
Vicky's too polite, okay? Okay. If you do not have your own personal account, you can't get to what they call base camp, which is where all of your materials are. You're done. You're through being a Toastmaster in a practical sense. Okay, so you gotta get that account. It's not that hard. I'll put the instructions in the email again tomorrow.
Okay.
But Vicky's right, this is crucial. Without that, that's it. I mean, you can still come here and we'll be nice to you, but there won't be any more Toastmasters for you.
Not as nice.
Hey,
Yes, then how do you get an account number? Because this is the first time I've heard about an account number, because you know I wasn't in my computer for
okay,
the password.
yeah,
okay.
I'll email you tomorrow on that, okay?
Yeah. We will make sure, before it rolls out, that everybody knows how to get in and has gotten in. Because
Yeah.
that is crucial. Even if we have to stay after a meeting one night, I will show you how to
Right.
log in.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get it figured out. It's not like we're not gonna say, well, you don't know how to do it, too bad. We will make sure that you know how to get in, because this is the crucial part of it.
But it is easy and it just takes a few minutes to set up an account.
It is.
Yeah.
And once you get more savvy with the site, and the Toastmasters International site can be challenging sometimes. I'm not going to say that it's one of those that you can click and you find everything that you want right away. I've learned that as a Pathways Guide, that you have to go in through back doors because it's not open to our region yet. And every time I would click on something, it would give me this wonderful saying that said, "It has not rolled out in your region. Please contact your chief ambassador to find out when it will be." And I know that it's not. Then I realized, oh, you have to go here and click this and click that. But I play around with it. I'm learning that by clicking something, the computer's not going to explode. It's really interesting, the generations. You know, my one son is a computer science major, and he just pushes buttons all the time. He's been one of those kids that on computers would just push anything and figure out what it meant. Whereas me, it's like, okay, I didn't blow up. I didn't hit the blue screen of death. So it's just a generational thing also. So if you're getting stuck on the computer, navigating through it, please let us know. I can bring my laptop. We can play around with it. We'll get you where you need to be. But it is crucial that you do that. Now, as I said, Navigator. Everybody will get to go through this guide called the Navigator. This is what is going to show you the program. But the nice thing is some of it you already know. Like, trying to find it goes through the basics of speeches, evaluations, and table topics, what they are. The meeting roles, it has it right there. For those of you that like to have some sort of background on your role, it's all going to be on one page now, rather than having to flip through your competent communicator and finding that role and figuring out it's all on one page. So speaking of meetings, do you think they're going to change because of Pathways?
No.
Nope. The meetings are going to be exactly the same. We're going to have the Toastmaster, the speakers, table topics, general evaluator. All the roles are not changing. Just the education format. So don't think, oh, Pathways, it's now started. It's after May 20th, I'm not going because the meeting's just not going to be as it was before. It'll be the same. It's going to be the same people. We're going to have a great time.
Yeah.
But you will get to do the Navigator. Everybody will get this wonderful information.
Vicki, all the new members are going to get the Navigator from, March 20 on. What about, are they going to supply those to us? Have you heard anything about that, or will it be something we find online?
I believe it goes online. We will have one booklet that we
Okay.
have. And that came with our kit that I so wonderfully forgot.
We might want to violate international copyright law and make some of those for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry, as long as the district director doesn't find out about it, we'll be okay.
But actually, I think you can go on, I believe
Yeah.
it's a PDF and you can print it out.
Yeah,
So everybody will have access to the navigator. I'm pretty sure from what is everybody will at least have it online, if not
Yeah.
be able to print it. So now, online versus print. We have some people that love printed material. As you can see, I'm one of those. I could have just read everything online and left it online. No, I'm the type that has to have this physical copy. I'm the one who didn't want a Kindle because I love to turn the pages. It's just one of those things in a book when you're in suspense and you get to turn the page. I just have to have that. So I'm a print person. However, if I chose print with Pathways, I wouldn't have access to as much as online. And you have to pay for it. Now, you do have to pay for Pathways too.
yeah. Pay
But
more for it.
Pay more,
Yeah.
pay more for it,
Yeah.
thank you. Everybody has to pay for it, just as you have to pay when you sign up, you have to pay for your materials. When you get the advanced communicator manuals, you have to pay for those. So there is just more cost to the print as well as not enough, as much information.
Right.
So my suggestion is online. You don't have to do print, but some people will. It was very interesting in one of our conversations online. We have a Facebook group of Pathway Guys, and somebody came on and said, I don't use the computer, how will I do this program? And there was a lot of comments of, if you don't use the computer, how did you get on this forum? Well, I went to the library. So you do have access to a computer. If you don't own a computer, it doesn't matter. As long as you have access to a computer to get onto basic camp. You don't have to download anything. You just have to get on the site. And you can do that from any public computer. So don't think that you have to. I believe it is also working pretty well on tablets, from my understanding. I don't know if anybody has heard anything different on that.
There's a Facebook Pathways group, and the comments there seem to be that, yeah, it does work well, but not on phones. It's too small, you know.
Right.
But on tablets, yeah.
Right. So if you have a tablet, iPad, one of those, you can use that as well. You do not need a computer.
There
Next.
again, that's another thing we can work around. I mean,
Yes.
because I think we only have 2 or 3 people who don't have online access, so we'd be in okay shape.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm more than happy after a meeting
Right.
to stay after if they need, you need information to work on your next project so that we can get access type of thing. So if you don't have a computer, we will make it work. Next one on page 7 at the bottom is assessment. That is something everyone is going to do, and you're going to take an assessment. I haven't been able to take it. I've been playing around to see if I could get in there since I'm a Pathways guide, and I thought maybe I would be able to play with the program. Apparently not. I tried. I was trying everything. I was trying to break it, and it wouldn't let me in there. So I cannot at this point tell you how the assessment works. Maybe it might be one of those things after a meeting after May 20th, when we go in together, if you want to, and do assessments type of thing. Or maybe you just want to go off on your own and do it yourself, because I'm not even sure how many questions. Does anybody know how many? Nobody knows yet? Okay. Maybe I'll ask Ed. If I find out the answer of how many questions to the assessment, I'll let you know.
You're talking about the one that, like, assess your interest to try to suggest the paths? Okay,
Right,
yeah.
yeah. So this, by the assessment, you answer these questions, and then on page 8, these little tiny things that you can barely read, sorry about that, is you'll select topics that interest you that you're wanting to learn. And it can be public speaking, coaching, speech writing, leadership. So you'll choose 3 out of those that interest you. And then it'll ask you some more questions, like if